Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to this historic day at the Temple of Light Center for Spiritual Living here in Kingston, Jamaica. Thank you so much for those of you who are here and for those of you who are tuning in on our first live stream. We have Miss Corona to thank for this, you realize. She's given us a lot of new opportunities, and we just say thank you. Please join me in an opening affirmation. In this moment, we recognize that there is God and only God. The presence of God fills this space and fills all space, filling our consciousness with the new idea of oneness. Wherever we are, in whatever we are doing, we are connected, and we have always been connected. This is God expressing easily, effortlessly, continuously, in, through, and as each one of us. So with this knowing, I declare that this morning's service, a perfectly idea expressed in the mind of God, is now taking place in an atmosphere of joy and hope and inspiration and creativity, so that everyone who participates is inspired and uplifted and recognizes their oneness with each other and with that we call God. So I release these words now into that perfect law, giving thanks for its perfect fulfillment, even as we are now perfect. Thank you, God, that this is so, and so it is. Our inspirational reading this morning comes from Reverend Sally Robbins. It's taken from the Creative Thought magazine from a few years back, August 2013. And she reads, "The Pause That Refreshes." My friend recently told me about a trip to Milwaukee. As he was leaving town, he went through the typical security lines in the airport. To his surprise, though, after he took off his shoes, his belt, and everything else he needed to take off to go through the line, he found that just beyond the security area was a zone called the recombobulation area. I'm not making this up. This area provides benches so that travelers can put themselves back together again before heading off to their gates. In a play on the word discombobulation, clever airport authorities made up the phrase recombobulation area, which has drawn smiles from many a weary traveler. And who doesn't need a chuckle after going through airport security? As I reflected on this, I realized that there have been many times when I have needed to recombobulate my life. I have needed time to pause, to process, and ponder as I pulled myself back together after a difficult time. The scary thing was that I realized I had rarely given myself the gift of some recombobulation time. Instead, I forged ahead into life without a backward glance. There is a fine line between pausing to contemplate and ruminating unnecessarily. Only you can determine whether you need the time to process and when it is appropriate to move on. I know in my life there have been far more of the latter than the former. A big clue as to what you should do appears when you check in on your feelings. Are you feeling discombobulated? Are you feeling out of sorts? Do you feel the need to get grounded again? If the answer to these questions is yes, perhaps you should take time to recombobulate. When I find myself needing to pause, to align myself with divine wisdom, I tell myself, I may not know the answer, but something within me does. And it is only in the stillness that I can connect with that something. I must pause. I must disconnect from the rigors of my life so that I can listen with the ears of my soul. It is only if we pause regularly and connect with divine essence that we are able to act, not react. Pausing provides refreshment for the soul, a hiatus from the outer world, and a reconnection to what is real. So the next time you feel discombobulated, find your own recombobulation area within yourself. Thank you, Reverend Sally Robbins. And now we'll have a prayer of our center. Please join me. Together, the Temple of Light, Center for Spiritual Living, is a sacred field embodying our spiritual community from which the Christ peace, love, and joy emanates to touch, to heal, to bless, to prosper, and to liberate anyone who comes into contact with it in any way. The light of the Christ illumines our center and our environment. Our spiritual community is filled with and surrounded by the presence of God and is growing from strength to strength. The power of God expands our consciousness of truth, guiding us ceaselessly along the paths of wisdom, spiritual growth, unfoldment, and attainment. We are blessed, and to God be the honor and the glory forever. And so it is. And now we'll have our praise song. And joining me is the Temple Singers. I can see clearly now the fear is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It is a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It is a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Oh yes, I can make it now, the pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. I am the light that I've been waiting for. It's got a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It is a bright, 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 sunshiny day. I can see clearly now the fear is gone. I can see no obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It is a bright, 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 sunshiny day. It is a bright, 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 sunshiny day. It is a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It is a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Ooh, we sound wonderful. I hope you were singing along. Now it's time to light our candle. This candle we light for all the children of the world. Let us behold the Christ in them. And from this time, let us speak a kind word for all the world. The blessing of the Sunday school children teachers, and everyone. We love you. We appreciate you. We salute the Christ in you, and we see you as shining lights unto your world. God is blessing you now, and so it is. And now for our Temple of Light mission song. The Temple of Light, the Temple of Light, the Temple of Light. We are a people with a vision, one the Spirit on a mission, to touch, to heal, to bless, to prosper, to love and liberate anyone who comes into contact with us, anytime, night or day. Yay! And now it's time for our announcements. Today, Sunday, March the 22nd. Hello, everyone, again. To this historic day, welcome to the Temple of Light Center for Spiritual Living in beautiful Jamaica. If you're watching live stream on Facebook or watching later on our YouTube channel, you're helping us to create history today, as this is the first time we are live streaming our service. This broadcast is in response to the Jamaican government's request that we remain at home as much as possible. However, we intend to continue live streaming our Sunday celebrations in happier times when you are again able to return to fellowship in our sanctuary. And you can also keep watching. We're also planning to offer our classes online, and we will keep you advised regarding this in the upcoming weeks. Now, next Sunday, March the 29th, which our young people have designated as Family Sunday, will also be live streamed at 9 a.m. on Facebook Live, so be sure to join us and support our young people. Now, more than ever, we need to respond with prayer to the challenging facing us all. Please call our prayer line 876-978-1167 for a special prayer of peace and well-being. You can still attend our Tuesday evening spiritual mind healing service at 6 p.m. in person and bring in your prayer requests, or call them into our office at 876-927-6145 or 876-946-2230. Above all, let us remember that love knows nothing of social distance. And although we are not able to hold hands or hug at this time, our hearts are still linked with our brothers and sisters all across the world. This concludes our announcements. Please join me in a guided meditation, which will be followed by a moment of silence and an affirmative prayer of oneness for the whole world. I invite you to take a deep breath as you relax and allow the presence to be present. And as you breathe in, know that you are breathing in the joy, the peace, the perfection that God is. And as we breathe out, we release the joy, the love, and the perfection into our atmosphere so that everyone with whom we come into contact is blessed and inspired and uplifted. Take another deep breath and allow these thoughts to sink into your soul. Wherever I am, all of God is. Therefore, all is always well and good. And I invite you to take another deep breath in as we return to this place and this space in the recognition that God is all there is, and God is right now, right where we are, working in, through, and as us to bring peace and joy and love and wholeness to the life that we live, this life that is our gift. And now open your eyes gently when you're ready. This is an affirmative prayer of oneness for the whole world. Millions of stars placed in the skies by one God. Millions of us lift up our eyes to one God. So many children calling to him by many a different name. One Father, loving each the same. The divine name is a thread connected to the tapestry of God's ever-presence. That is a quotation from Reverend Ellen Grace O'Brien. God is the allness of being, all power, presence, wisdom, love, peace, joy, wholeness. Everything that is God in expression. We are that God in expression. We practice the presence of God as we go about our everyday activities by remembering the divine name is our name. Every hour of our day is vibrantly alive with powerful evidence of God's presence. I'm so grateful for the divine intelligence to recognize beauty in all its splendor, divine love to appreciate kindness and generosity however it shows up, divine wisdom to step into the stillness and be guided into pathways of ever-expanding awareness of God. And in this awareness, we know that everyone who is now alive on this planet is a part of that expression of God, is a part of that extension that God is in, through, and as us. And so we know that right where we are, there is only one power, one presence, one life that is living itself vibrantly through each one of us. In this knowing, there is nothing to fear. There is only God to recognize and to realize in our experience. This day is a wonderful opportunity to experience and express God, because this day is a new day. This day has never been before and will never be again. So we take this opportunity to live God to our best ability, to the fullest, knowing that as we allow God to live through us, each person with whom we interact is lifted up to a higher place, is lifted up in consciousness, and knows that where God is, all is well, and where God is right where we are. I give thanks for this knowing that there is only one, and we are in it, and it is in us. Thank you, God, that all this is so now, and so it is. And now please join me in our first hymn selection, Dear Lord and Father of Mankind.
Clothe us in our rightful mind, till ill
And now, please help me welcome Practitioner Vance Gardner, who will be conducting the rest of the service and is bringing us this message this morning of hope and light and love. Vance?
Thanks, Carol. Welcome, everyone. Welcome those who are joining us online, and to those who are watching us delayed later on YouTube. So again, welcome, everyone. It is said that if the mountain won't come to Muhammad, so that since we cannot come to service today, we are bringing the service to you. I'm remembering a pastor who saw a letter on his desk. So he opened the envelope, FOOL. So he went to his secretary and said, I got an autograph. I saw somebody only signed their autograph. They signed FOOL. Do you know who is this fool? I would really love to meet this person. He looked at the letter on his desk in a different light. Of course, it couldn't be referring to him. It must be the person signing his name, so that he's showing his appreciation for the work that the pastor has been doing. Wayne Dwyer said, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at also change. Deb Shapiro, in our book, Your Body Speaks Your Mind, tell us that respiratory illnesses are an indication of a mental cause of repression of emotions, thoughts that need to be expressed, or they are an expression of too much busyness. And when I read this, it made me look at what is happening with this COVID-19 pandemic in a very different light. And you know what came to me? The words that we were just singing in this hymn of how Spirit speaks to us through all that is happening around us in its own mysterious ways. So I want to just go through some of the verses of this hymn again, and I'm going to ask my beautiful assistant, Carol, to just lead us through these verses again. Wow, the beauty of thy peace. That is what Spirit is telling us today. So thank you, Carol, and everyone who joined her in singing that song. Spirit always finds a way to tell us what we need to hear when we need to hear it, and let us know what we need to know when we need to know it. And things look different when we see them through the eyes of Spirit. We see them in a different light. The Bible tells us in 2 Samuel 12 that the prophet Nathan went to David to have counsel with him. Nathan said to David, there were two men in one city, one rich and the other poor. The rich man had exceedingly a large herd of cattle and a large flock. But the poor man had nothing but a little lamb that he really cherished, that he nourished, and he grew up with his children. And he really was attached to this lamb. And a traveler came to the rich man, who, when entertaining the traveler, refused to take from his flock. He took the one little lamb that the poor man had. And when David heard this, he was angry, very angry. And he said to Nathan, as the Lord lives, the man who did this shall surely die. And he shall restore fourfold to the man the value of his lamb, because he did this thing and he had no pity. Then Nathan said to David, you are that man. Friends, anything that affects us with strong emotion, it is within us. And emotions tells us what we need to release and what we need to heal. So David represents that consciousness, the highest consciousness within us. Or what the Rastafarians would say, he represents the Christ in its kingly character within us. So when the parable shows us that when thoughts, emotion, and impulses lead us astray, that is that traveler that comes to us, we should entertain the traveler from our highest consciousness, consciousness of abundance, consciousness of love, consciousness of peace, and not do like David, who entertained the traveler from a consciousness of lust and a consciousness of fear. However, we may fall at times, but our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. And this is said by Confucius. So the law of mind, the law of cause and effect, applies to us all. And we reap the consciousness of what we sow. But God is available to us to see things in a different light. I read several interpretations of this scripture, but our assistant minister here at the Temple of Light Center for Spiritual Living in Kingston, Jamaica, Reverend Ann Shand, explained to me that this passage, 2 Samuel 12, is a lesson in prayer. After Nathan told David the consequence of his action, David went into all forms of supplication. But Nathan told him that his first child with Bathsheba, the wife of Uriah, which David had sent to die so that he could get Bathsheba as his wife, that the first child would die. So David went into all forms of supplication to try to change this, but the child still died. And this shows us what Ernest Holmes, teacher, the founder of the Sons of Mind and Spirit, this teaching tells us that we should not go to prayer carrying our worries, our discord, because prayer is answered in the consciousness in which it is delivered. And this awareness came to David. So after recognizing that the child had died, David then came to himself, and he became joyful and festive again. And David's kingdom expanded. He now became king not only of Judah, but of the entire Israel. So God expanded his territory as his consciousness rose. And David and Bathsheba had a second child, Solomon. the coming of wisdom into his life and into his experience. So that one of the things that I learned from this story also was something that Emily Fletcher, the teacher of Ziva meditation, says, that guilt is really a useless emotion. And that we should really release give. What we can do is forgive and atone, but we should never carry around guilt with us. You know, friends, whatever we see in others is also in us. Also, the things we appreciate and admire in others is also within us. We just need to see ourselves in a different light. The only difference between you and the greatest being who have walked among mankind are the thoughts you allow to occupy your mind. This is a verse from one of my favorite poets, Kirk Nugent, a Jamaican who is residing in New York now. He may be seeing that decision in a different light right now. But one of my favorite stories of seeing things in a different light is a story told by Coach Glenn Mills of his journey with Usain Bolt. Now, Usain Bolt came to Glenn Mills to guide his career after he came back from a world championship where he finished last in the 200 meters final. And many people were saying that he was a flash in the pan, that he was a junior who probably wouldn't excel in the senior level. But Coach Mills saw Bolt in a different light. He saw Bolt as potentially the greatest 200, 400-meter runner the world will ever see. So he communicated this to Bolt. But Bolt didn't really see it that way at first. So Bolt said, let us concentrate on the 200 meters. So Bolt started to train with 200 meters, but certain bad habits die hard. As Coach Mills told us, he carried Bolt to a track meet at G.C. Falster College. So when he's looking at the start of the race, there is no Bolt. So he asked the people, where is Bolt? They said, oh, we saw him going on a bus to Trelawney when he should be running here today. However, Coach Mills stuck around with Bolt because he saw the potential. And to cut the long story short, at the next World Championship, Bolt came second in the 200 meters behind Tyson Gay. But something remarkable happened. The Jamaican team substituted Bolt in the 4x100 meters relay. Now, Bolt did not run the 100 at our trials, and normally you have to run the 100 at our trials to be placed on the relay team. The relay team came second, and after discussing it amongst themselves, they realized that if they had more time to practice, they could have won. But Bolt learned something at that time. He was looking at the race, and he realized that had Asafa Powell remained relaxed throughout the race, he could beat any runner in the world. And Bolt looked at himself and said, but I can beat Asafa. So he went back to Coach Mills, and he said, I want to do the 100. So Coach Mills said, okay, let us see. But if you do not succeed at the 100, then we'll go back to our original plan of you doing the 200 and the 400. Well, we know the rest is history. 3 consecutive Olympic double sprint championships, many relay medals, relay world record. And we know Bolt is the fastest man in history. You see, spirit is knowing itself through each and one of us. And spirit, when it wants to experience speed, chose Bolt because Bolt was ready. when we are ready for life, life is always ready for us. But we have to be prepared. Some of you may say that, how does this apply to me? These are gifted people. You know, David, gifted by God. Bolt, obviously, an extremely gifted athlete. So how does this apply to me? Well, Spirit makes no mistake. And Spirit always gives us examples to show us that when we see ourselves in a different light, anything is possible. And I remember the story of Ellen Keller. Now, Ellen Keller suffered from visual, verbal, and she was also hearing impaired. But Ellen Keller was able to inspire millions of people through her life and through the lectures that she gave when she taught herself how to speak. Amazing indeed. You know, she became the first person in the United States to attain a Bachelor of Arts degree while suffering all of these challenges. She attained a Bachelor of Arts degree from Radcliffe College of Harvard University. Now, this is not anything that is easy for anyone to even get into Radcliffe College, which is the alma mater of people like Hillary Clinton, and much less to attain the degree with honors like Ellen Keller. So this is an amazing accomplishment, even for people with no physical challenges, much less somebody who is experiencing what Helen Keller had to go through. And just to show you some of the impact that she had. A reporter, in describing one of Ellen Keller's lecture, said that according to those who attended, Ellen Keller spoke of the joy that life gave her. She was thankful for the faculties and abilities that she did possess, and stated that the most productive pleasures she had were curiosity and imagination. Keller spoke of the joy of service and the happiness that came from doing things for others. Keller imparted that helping your fellow men was the only excuse for being here in this world, and doing things to help one's fellows laid the secret of lasting happiness. She told of the joys of loving work and accomplishment, and the happiness of achievement. And although the entire lecture lasted only a little over an hour, the lecture had a profound impact on everyone who was there. And Ellen Keller's life had a profound impact upon me, especially our championing of women's rights, of the rights of workers, and the rights of people who are physically challenged. So therefore, although the means of mass communication sometimes does not portray to us information of our achievement under times of stress, also remember, there's always a sports page, and there are always stories that tells about our great accomplishments. And from anyone can do it, we also can do it. We just need to see ourselves in a different light and be ready for life when life is ready for us. The story of Michael Jackson was told in a documentary called This Is It by Kenny Ortega. And he told that Michael Jackson would call him at all hours of the night and tell him, write this down, write this down. And Kenny Ortega was saying, why? This is 2 o'clock in the morning. Why we need to write this down? And Michael Jackson would say, if we don't do it, then Prince is gonna do it. You know, so that So that spirit must be expressed. And if we are not the ones who are ready for it, then it will find someone else. And I remember the story of the last Super Bowl. I know not those of you who follow the NFL may remember that Super Bowl. That it was between the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. And with 7 minutes to go, it looked like the game was over, that the Chiefs would lose and the 49ers would win. But then the 49ers quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, he then said to himself, he remembered what Deshaun Watson, the quarterback of the Houston Texans, said to himself in a situation similar to what he was in. Somebody is going to be great today. Why not me? The next 7 minutes is legendary in the history of the NFL. They said they've never seen quarterback play like Mahomes demonstrated, which surely sealed him being now regarded as the greatest player in the NFL right now. He took the Chiefs from a losing situation to win the game fairly easily by some amazing quarterback play, because he changed the way how he looked at the situation. He realized that this was his moment. This was his time. Emily Fletcher, one of the most famous proponents of meditation, tells us through meditation and listening to the still small voice and answering 4 questions, we can find our divine gift and align ourselves with the flow of spirit unfolding as us. And I remember last week, our pastor here at the Temple of Light Center for Spiritual Living, Reverend John Scott, reminding us that prayer and meditations are sanitizers for the soul. And one of the first questions that Emily said we need to ask ourselves in this time is, what is the most pressing need of this time that resonates with me? I don't know if people may be writing it down, or we may see these questions coming up in the chat accompanying this stream. The second question is, what are my unique gifts, and how do my gifts serve the need of this time? The third is, which of these gifts I want to use? And the fourth, what can I do right now using this or these gifts? So it's a call to journal on these questions after you have meditated, and put yourself where you can hear that still small voice which speaks to us through all times, that speak to us even in a time like this. So that just allow Spirit to show you your path and the part you can play in a time like this. And I remember this song called Glorious, sung by David Archuleta. And he said, just keep listening. And pretty soon, you will start to figure out your part. Everyone plays a piece, and there are melodies in each one of us. Oh, it's glorious. For me, I believe the most pressing need of this time is for mankind to awake to our spiritual magnificence. This is the vision of Centers for Spiritual Living, and it's also my personal vision. I believe one of my gifts is teaching and clarifying and demystifying challenging concepts. I have answered the call to be a practitioner of this teaching, the science of mind and spirit, because it is my burning desire to play my part in the mission of making this world work for all of us. This is now an existential question facing mankind in this time. Spirit is speaking to us through the earthquake, wind, and fire, and the consequences of our mindless activities. Forgive our foolish ways. Reclothe us in our rightful mind, and in thy truth our lives we find, and in deeper reverence, praise. In deeper reverence, praise. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Vance. Somebody's going to be great today. Why not you? Why not me? We are called to be great. There is greatness in each one of us. Thanks again, Vance. That was inspirational. And now it's time for us to show our greatness through our love offering. Now, bearing in mind that they're doing this a different way today for the first time, those who are here present can give as usual, but those who are not here present, we know we appreciate your support of this ministry, and so we're giving you another channel through which you can make your donations. You may make donations at the Bank of Nova Scotia, Knutsford Boulevard, Kingston, Jamaica, savings account number 20941. So if you want to make a note of that, it's the Bank of Nova Scotia, Knutsford Boulevard, Kingston, Jamaica, savings account number 20941. And thank you so much for your contribution. We will say, as usual, the blessing of our contribution. Lovingly I give, joyfully I receive. Be thou fruitful, increase, and multiply. Bless, prosper, and enrich everyone whom you touch, and replenish all of my financial is. And now for our joy song. Our joy song will be Devell Thompson. Please welcome him.
Morning all. As the world, our country, and the region deals with this particular challenge that we're facing, we all need to find that moment to be still and find the light within us and still try to be great, even in our segment of quarantining. Try to find that strength, find that possibility that we never thought we had before at this time. All right?
Out of where I'm coming from, I know I'm blessed, and I close my eyes and smile. Sometimes I feel like the richest man on this island, and I've done my best, so everything's alright inside. Oh, every morning I rise and I stare at the sun. I know that it is a blessing, so when the evening comes I lift up my eyes to the hills, I'm blessed, oh man. With my two hands in the air as far as I can. Yeah, I can. With my two hands in the air as far as I can. Whoa, yeah, yeah. Ooh, every morning I rise, I stare at the sun. I know that it is a blessing, yeah. With my two hands in the air as far as I can. Ooh. Sometimes I'm lost and far from home, but I find my way. I follow my heart, I know I'll be found someday. While I'm lost, I learn and live. What do you say? Let's have a good time until that day. Oh, every morning I rise and I stare at the sun. I know that it is a blessing. So when the evening comes, I lift up my hands to the hills, I'm blessed, oh man. With my two hands in the air as far as I can. Yeah, yeah. With my two hands in the air. Whoa, yeah. With my two hands in the air as far as I can. Yeah, whoa. Hey, oh, 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 oh. With my two hands in the air, yeah, I can, you can. And put our hearts together, yeah, we can. Oh yeah, oh yeah. And let's pray for the world together. Come on, we can. Oh yeah, join in, yeah. With my two hands in the air as far as I. Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Yeah. With my two hands in the air. Yeah, yeah. With my two hands in the air as far as I can. Yeah, yeah, yeah. With my two hands in the air. Whoa, we pray together. Save our nation and our world, oh yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Ooh, ooh.
Thank you, Javel. Let's raise our hands in the air, let's raise our spirits as we sing our final hymn. A little more oil in my lamp, keep it burning. A little more oil in my lamp, I pray. A little more oil in my lamp, keep it burning. Keep it burning till the break of day. A little more love in my heart, keep me growing. A little more love in my heart, I pray. A little more love in my heart, keep me growing. Keep me growing through the night and day. A little more peace in my world, keep it turning. A little more peace in my world, I pray. A little more peace in the world, keep it turning. Keep it turning through the night and day.
And now I'm going to ask you to join me in the prayer of Jamaica. The prayer of Jamaica. The radiant light of God's love is now flowing through us and from us to everything and everyone it touches. The eternal light of God's love now completely fills, covers, and surrounds our island, Jamaica. The glowing intensity of the light of God's love now interpenetrates and awakens within the hearts and minds of our countrymen and women the truth of life which set free. The light of God's love is growing and glowing in intensity in the hearts and minds of mankind everywhere. Love, health, peace, uprightness, integrity, joy, prosperity, kindness, and our oneness under God are now established. And so it is. And just join me in this closing affirmative prayer. Now, there is light. This light is God. This light is expressing through each and every one, through everything, because there's only God. And when we see ourselves in this light, we recognize that this light is calling us into a greater unfolding, to be the voice, the heart, the love of spirit on this plane of existence. So we allow this light to guide us where we are now, in our homes, or those who are with me in this place. We take this light with us and we shine it out into the world, showing people that God is here. God is always here, and all is well. And good is in everything, as we see this goodness expressing in this cooperation that is unfolding among people right now in most wonderful, glorious ways. It is good and very, very good. I'll just release these words, giving thanks that all this is so. And so it is. So I'm going to ask you to join me in singing our song, Yes, There is Light. And please just put your hands over your hearts as we sing.